Amish are not a monolith. And when you talk about Amish not being a monolith, what do I mean? I mean they have decentralized leadership. I mean that to be Amish means several things are inherently true. The Amish that I'm familiar with, like we all use the 18 Articles of Confessions of Faith that were written in Dordrecht, Holland in the 1500s as baptismal instructions. But the communities that I'm talking about, when I say I lived in 4 Old Order Amish settlements, they were Old Order. They adhered to those 18 Articles of Confessions of Faith, but they did not, in fact, they were not Swartzen Troopers. They were never Swartzen Troopers. And what you may not understand is just because you know like Old Order Amish in Holmes County, Ohio, doesn't mean you know Old Order Amish in Wisconsin or Illinois or Indiana or Michigan or Pennsylvania, or even in Western Pennsylvania. They're different. Old Order Amish are different than in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And that's the thing. Part of how this happens is because while we use the same underlying theology, at the end of the day, you have different geographical locations known as settlements. And within those settlements, and even external to those settlements, you can have different denominations. So you have different types of Amish. Those types of Amish can have different church districts depending on the size of the type of Amish. And every spring and every fall, each bishop of the church district is responsible for rewriting the rules. That results in variances because of the decentralized leadership. But again, they're still using the same underlying theology. And it does not make Old Order Amish Swartzen Trooper just because you think they are adhering to rules that are more congruent with Swartzen Troopers than what you think Old Order Amish are. They're still Old Order Amish because that's what they split from, or that's what they originated from, and that's what they are. I hope that is helpful. And if you want to know more, I did actually write this book in a way that every chapter tells you about a different Amish settlement that I lived in. And I also talk about, like, in one settlement, you can have chainsaws. And in another settlement, you couldn't have chainsaws. In one settlement that I lived in, the youth had to drive open buggies, and they had to use oil lanterns on those open buggies. In another settlement, they had battery-operated lights on their buggies. And in another settlement, they had storm fronts, but they didn't in the other settlements. Like, that's the thing that people don't understand, is the rules may vary depending on what type of Amish you are, and even depending on what church district you live in. Because sometimes people in the North Church District can do things that people in the West Church District can't, and vice versa. I hope that is helpful. Have a good day.